All right, this is crowd in the fantasy league. This is our waiver wire breakdown for week 2. So the waiver wire, the way it works is you will put your waiver claims in on a Tuesday. So that's anybody that's available, any free agents that are available. You will put a waiver claim in for them, and you'll find out on the Wednesday if you get that player. You'll get that player if you have the highest priority in the queue. So some leagues will operate where it's the worst team, the team that's performed the worst, that gets the first overall kind of selection in the queue. And other leagues will work it where it's like a rolling waiver wire. So if you've already claimed a waiver wire pickup, you'll go to the back of the queue for the next waiver wire pickup. If you're going to submit multiple waiver wire claims, make sure to prioritize. It will take them in the order that you put them in. So if you really want a quarterback, for example, put your quarterback number 1 and put your running back number 2 and put your wide receiver number 3 and order them like that so that you get the guy that you want the most.
And the waiver wire is super important because it helps you rebuild your team. You know, trim the fat and get some week 1 standouts who might be superstars for the rest of the season.
Yeah, that's basically it. If you've got some duds on your team and you need to refresh, the teams, they always say like the league's not won at the draft. The league is won by staying active through the season. So playing the waiver wire, playing free agency, making trades, that's how you win. And the waiver wire is super, super important to pay attention. Right. So will we go just like a couple of our favorite waiver wire picks for the week if we go round the horn? Thomas, do you have a couple in mind?
I'll pick a top 3. So first one, and this one from whenever I was looking at is only owned by 2% of or on 2% of rosters in the league. And this is going to be a surprising one. Aaron Rodgers, QB of the Steelers. I mean, that Jets defense, even though it wasn't good yesterday, it's still meant to be a good defense. He was away and still put up 4 TDs. He's got some good receivers in there as well. On the Steelers train. Pardon?
2%? That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It could be 2% in some way. I thought it was 8%, but it's still really, really low.
It might have been. Well, he's less than 10% either way. You know,
which is amazing.
Next one I'm going to go for. I'm actually going to stay on the Steelers train because if I'm hyping up Aaron Rodgers, you got to give him people to throw to. And there's 2 people I'm going to say here. This is all Steelers, by the way. But the next 2 are Calvin Austin, wide receiver. Pickup number, second string wide receiver. Aaron Rodgers liked to throw to him. He got a lot of targets when DK Metcalf was covered, so he's going to get some share. And then just the way, because I watched the game, and just the way they used Jono Smith and using on like sweeps and pitches and things like that, he's going to get the ball a lot. So Jono Smith as well on the tight end. So they're my top 3. I know they're all Steelers based, but that was a team that wasn't thought very highly of going into this thing. And, they are a winning team historically, so maybe they'll keep that streak.
Yeah, Johnny Smith, an interesting one. Do you know what percentage he's owned on? No, he's about half of the rosters seem to have him. So if he's available, definitely go out and get him.
Yeah,
but yeah, about half of leagues will have him available.
But they're my top 3.
Awesome, Adam. Do you have a few in mind?
I have quite a few, but I'll try to narrow it down. I like the Rodgers one, but I'm not going to go with it for QB. He had the fewest yards per completion of any QB. So through the first week, 4.3 yards per completion, which is very, very low. So I wouldn't quite jump on the train yet. But 4 touchdowns is pretty impressive. Maybe I'm still a wee bit resentful of what he was doing at the Jets. But I don't know if I was to go with I picked Trevor. Trevor Lawrence was a part of it. I think Daniel Jones is an interesting one, and I know not a lot of people get on the Daniel Jones one, and I wasn't going to. I was talking to Thomas about this, like how much can you trust that? How bad were the Dolphins? But 0.5% have him rostered. 0.5%.
Where are you getting these stats, by the way? I have them 10% ownership and 12.
NFL fantasy website. 0.5%.
NFL fantasy. Well, that would explain it because there's no teams on the NFL fantasy website. We've got an entire empty league on the NFL fantasy website.
That's one of the sources, but 0.5%. On that anyway, on that platform. But he scored on every possession that he played.
they compared him. I don't know if anybody watched it, but they were comparing him to Peyton Manning.
Oh, good lord, no. But
because he was the first person to score on 4 consecutive drives in the first half of a game since Peyton Manning. So,
yeah, I like that. He scored in every possession that he played. And playing in that division, as Matthew earlier about that, I think you're going to get 6 matchups a year where you kind of fancy the QB, playing the Jags twice, playing the Texans twice, playing the Titans twice. It's a pretty weak division. It could be the weakest division in football. Sorry, Matthew. So yeah, I would say out of the QBs that are definitely going to be there on the waiver wire. You probably should go and get them if you're struggling at QB. RBs.
The only thing is if you're streaming quarterback, he's not a great choice because his next game is against Denver. So if you're really looking for a start in week 2, maybe Daniel Jones isn't
it
the
depends
one
on
for
what league
you.
you're playing. Like if you're playing, like for example, if you're struggling with the QB in a dynasty league, for example, then maybe get him in that for the next couple of years. But if you're just looking for waiver wire just for week 2, yes, he'll struggle against Denver. But if you're looking for the rest of the season with the matchups, that would be a good one. I think you have to go for Marquise Brown with Xavier Worthy. That would be my wide receiver waiver wire pickup. I think you have to kind of go for Marquise Brown there. Worthy
Ollie Brown, 16 targets in week 1.
16 targets, 10 catches. No wide receiver had more targets or more catches through week 1 so far. So I think you have to go with him, especially we don't know how long Worthy's going to be out. He must have said something about Taylor Swift to Travis Kelce. That was some shoulder barge as well.
He dropped that shoulder.
Unbelievable. So yeah, and Marquise Brown seems like he seems like an obvious one. He's rostered in under 60% of leagues. So there's a good chance of him being available there. If you're high on the waiver wire chart to pick, you probably go for him pretty high in your waiver wire picks. And then try to pick an RB here.
See, I was looking at RBs as well, and I didn't see on any of my leagues, I didn't see any RB on the waiver wire that actually made an impact.
Mm-hmm. No,
I've got one. I've got one. So yeah,
you've got one that made an impact.
Well, I've
got one that definitely should be rostered. Yeah,
I'm going to try to pick one here. There are a couple of interesting ones. Nick Chubb had 62% of the carries. Trey Benson for the Cardinals got more of a split than you would think. 8 of 20 carries. I would say, and if I pronounce this right, you're probably going to go for a pick that's going to play against a pretty porous run defense this week. Zach Charbonnet, is that how you pronounce it?
Oh yeah.
Who seemed to be
yeah.
Yeah, which you won't like with Kenneth Walker. You're all on the Kenneth Walker train this year, Matthew.
He had a terrible week.
So I think you have to go for him. The Steelers gave up 182 rushing yards the first week. So if you're looking for a waiver wire pick for somebody playing against a pretty porous run defense, who should be available once again, he's rostered in under 60% of the leagues. That's in the NFL fantasy leagues. Yeah, that would be my pick. Those would be my top 3 to pick if you're looking at a QB, wide receiver, and running back. I've got a few more, but I'll not bore you with them. Those would be my 3.
Okay. Right. I'm gonna start with an obvious one. Wide receiver who lit it up week 1 with 79 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Chiefs. But Quentin Johnson. Quentin Johnson is an easy match. 9% ownership in 12-team leagues on Sleeper. So he will be available in like 90% of leagues. If you're in a 10-person league or an 8-person league, he'll be available in even more of them. And he he was definitely the favorite, like deep target and red zone target for Justin Herbert. And if Herbert continues to play the way he did in week 1, you're going to see him get a lot of touchdown opportunities. He didn't have as many drops, which is good. That's been the issue he's had in the NFL in his first couple of seasons, has been drops. You're just hoping
that Chargers team is definitely going to throw that ball a lot. You saw that game plan on the other day.
Yeah.
They want
the wide receiver 2 in fantasy at the moment. Wide receiver 2 in fantasy. Definitely go out and pick up Quentin Johnson, if you don't have him already. For the quarterback, I love this guy. I love this guy. Went out and threw 362 yards against the Patriots.
Nice.
He only had 1 touchdown and 1 interception, but Patriots defense is pretty good. What you're looking for there is pass attempts and yards. If he's got as many, like what he threw the ball 34 times and threw 362 yards. But, Geno Smith's definitely one to look at, particularly if the likes of the Chiefs defense are as bad as they looked against the Chargers and stuff like that. So if you're looking for an option at quarterback, he's a very handy option. And I promised a running back. So this team projected to kind of, in the offseason, they talked about having a 1A and 1B running attack. And I thought it would be later in the season that you would see this guy start to take over work from the primary running back. But Trey Benson was the best running back on the field for the Cardinals against the Saints. And he's a really, really handy looking, like if you had like a 0 RB strategy in the draft and you really need somebody to plug and play in your flex spot or whatever, Trey Benson's a really good shout, particularly if he starts to get more and more work. He only had 8 carries, but he got 69 yards on those 8 carries.
75% of those yards were on one of the carries, I believe.
But this is it. If he's getting the explosive plays and he's the one that looks good, like he outgained James Conner by a lot. He looked a lot better than James Conner. Yeah. So if Conner starts to slow down, he's had injury issues in the past, and he's getting a bit older. Is James Conner 28, 29? Look for Trey Benson to start to take more and more of that work. So he's a handy one if you're really looking for a spot start at running back.
Very good.
No, I like it.
I'll try to fight you for all of these guys, Len, on the waiver wire.
I know that's the issue with recording this kind of show, because then people try to like snipe our guys. You're kind of showing your
Can I just hear yours, please? I don't want to give anything away. But you will know all of this anyway, so we're all going to be fighting for the same guys.
Yeah, it's great for me since I'm a beginner. I am just taking notes and.
Well, you're about to win 2 fantasy matchups
you're
this
2
week,
for 2,
so you're going to be lowest on the waiver wire.
Yeah. You're not going to get.
What about you, Nathan? Nathan, do you have any questions regarding the waiver wire? Anything that you think like beginners would want to know?
How he's finding all this information, or he's figuring out where to pick people up and all.
You can
if you go on. Yeah, if you go in in Sleeper, it's really handy. You'll just go and you'll look at the players tab, and it'll just show you. You can click on available, and it'll show you all the players that are available. And then it'll just give you a list of positions, and so if you just click on one of those players, it'll tell you what ranking they are at their position. It'll tell you how many points they've had at their position, and you can work out who your best option is.
Okay.
You can also kind of see, although it's after people have claimed off the waiver wire, but then you could use it for following weeks. You can see like out of available players, like the trends for how many people have picked up this player. So who's highest on the trend of picking them up, and then you can read into the description of the player, and you'll probably find out why loads of people are jumping on the bandwagon with them. So if you start to see like trends of players being picked up, it also works the opposite way. You can see trends of players being dropped. Could be due to like a suspension about to happen, or which happens in the NFL quite a lot.
I'm not gonna
injuries, especially
injuries that aren't quite reported yet, and stuff like that.
So they have number
Yeah, like
one.
the top ads as far as they're telling me is Quentin Johnston by far the top, and then Calvin Austin, and then Justin Fields. Weirdly, we didn't talk about Justin Fields, owned in 60% of leagues. So if he's available, get Fields, because I think I talked to Adam about this. When he's played a full season, he's never finished outside the top 10 at quarterback, even though he's not a great like game-to-game quarterback. Like, he doesn't win a lot of games. He wins you a lot of fantasy matchups because he runs the ball really well.
Very true.
Yeah, he scored 30 points in that first week there.
Yeah, and he had a crazy, they call it a naked bootleg, but he had like this crazy like fake and then run round on a fourth down play to get a touchdown. Yeah, so he just gives you that upside. He'll have a lot of designed runs. It's always what you want from your quarterback. Yeah, like what did he have? 12 attempts for 48 yards and 2 touchdowns rushing, which is just crazy stats.
You can also just search online, Nathan. Like, just go onto Google and search waiver wire picks or top waiver wire picks. So it'll just give you a list of things to click into. There's quite a few sites where you can go in. They'll probably predominantly give you like the same advice, but some may be slightly different. So it's worth looking into a few.
Well, I like doing this. When I used to do my weekly newsletter kind of thing that I would email out to my fantasy league, I love doing the That Helps No One Player of the Week, which is basically a player that nobody's picked up, nobody will ever pick up, but they inexplicably managed to get a touchdown or something. My favorite one this week was when George Kittle went down. A guy, Jake Tonges, I think it's pronounced, Tonges, scored a touchdown, like a crazy touchdown at the end of that game to win the game for the Niners. Nobody will ever pick this guy up. He will not be on any rosters, but he randomly scored a touchdown. So I love that. Jake Tonges, remember the name.
Oh, go on, pick him up, man.
If he comes good. The thing about our fantasy league, though, because I was looking at our waiver wire picks and I was looking at our teams, and I was like, I know, like, my team didn't perform that well, or no, it's performed really well, but I can't see anybody I would want to drop for anybody on the waiver wire.
It's got to be
like, I think unless there's like a crippling injury to one of my players, I don't see much movement in our 4-person league.
Well, it's going to be tough for me because I want to get rid of a guy like Worthy, but then how long is he going to be out? Is it going to be 4 weeks? Is it going to be 6 weeks? Like, how bad is it?
Oh, Adam, you can definitely get rid of Worthy. Yeah, no, you get rid of him.
Do we have injury?
No
spots in the
there's no IR spots. Don't be crazy.
Like, I'm
bad person, man.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this.
Bad person.
George Pickens is probably my worst wide receiver.
I told you this last week.
No, as in like wide receivers I could drop, because I've got Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Malik Neighbors, Justin Jefferson, Drake London, and George Pickens.
I don't think Nathan, with George Kittle getting into these now,
you want to drop. Let's see who you can drop for. So if you drop Neighbors, would be great to drop. If you drop Jefferson as well, like, you don't really need him.
Yeah. Your quarterback.
Nathan, with Kittle getting injured, you now have 3 unusable players for week 2.
Oh, God.
You've got Quinton Judkins, who's exempt for the first 2 weeks of the season, and you've got Rashee Rice, who's suspended, who you still randomly have, and George Kittle now out. So that's good.
I think you'll be.
Is Smith any good? He managed to get 12 points there, but I don't know if that's just a fluke or.
Who's Smith? What?
He's on my bench, so he is as tight end.
Jonnu Smith. That's the guy that Thomas just talked about picking up on waivers.
Oh, so.
No,
but he's not even on waivers in a 4-person league.
No, Nathan, drop him. Forget what he said there. Just drop him. That's interesting. The rookie, the beginner, is about to be 2-0, or 1-0 in 2 fantasy leagues going into week 2. So fair play, Nathan. Just think of what you'll be able to do whenever you know everything about the NFL.
Yeah, when do we stop going easy on him?
Okay.
I wish I could say it was
Is that
going
what you're
easy.
saying, Thomas? Is it?